Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode, if you will, of Coalitions Getting Coffee during COVID-19. Our guest today is Mindy Robertson. Mindy is the data coordinator at the Region 4 Prevention Resource Center. Mindy, how are you doing today?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for taking some time. I like to start these interviews off with some fun. So tell me something, a controversial but non-political opinion that you hold that probably would not be very popular. So to start, like for mine, one of the things that I'm pretty passionate about, I think stick butter should be left out on the counter so that it can be more room temperature.
I need you to
Now,
stop.
before you freak out, you need to Google it and see that if it's covered, it can stay fine for up to 3 weeks. And it makes it much more easy to spread on toast and other things as well. There's nothing more frustrating.
I would much rather believe a Southern grandmother than Google. I'm just saying.
Hey, no, the Southern grandmothers are some of the ones putting it up on Google saying that it's safe. You can check out the Southern cookbook and they'll tell you the same thing. And they say if you don't use a stick of butter in 3 weeks, you're not using enough anyway. So that's one of my opinions. What about you?
A lot of passion there behind the butter.
Yeah.
My controversial, I have two. One, do not put pineapple or any kind of fruit on my pizza. That is not okay. And two, I believe we all have superpowers and you have to figure out what unleashes it, and mine is my eyelashes. If I have my lashes on, I'm invincible. You better watch out.
That's awesome. Well, you're looking dangerous today, so thanks for spending some time. You're a data coordinator. What do you get funny looks when you tell people you're a data coordinator? Like what does a data coordinator do?
Well, and I do, especially when I say, I am the Region 4 Prevention Resource Data Coordinator. And I get two reactions. One, either, oh, yeah, or, huh? And both mean the same thing. They don't know.
Yeah,
and here's
exactly.
Ready? You need ready. The state of Texas is divided into 11 health regions. Region 4 is 23 counties. It's the left shoulder of Texas. It starts at Bowie County, goes over to Red River and to Lamar, all the way down through Sur and Van Zant, around Anderson and Rusk, over to Panola and Harrison, and everything in between. What I do is collect any data that deals with mental or physical health. I put them together in an RNA, and then I go out and speak to everything from coalitions to school boards to mayors to church ladies, and then we talk about what's particular in their counties and how we can fix those things.
You have it down, man.
I do. I get asked a lot. But it is real. I mean, data is a two-edged sword. You know, you could take the same report and say, look, we have an underage drinking problem, or look, we don't have an underage drinking problem. It's how you interpret it. But I like going to the different counties and saying, this is what the data says. You tell me what's happening. Do you agree with it? Do you think that's what's happening? And what solutions can we come up with? And sometimes you can't come up with solutions, but you can come up with prevention, or you can come up with steps that will lead to better situations. And that's all we can ask for, is better situations than what we have.
Right. And so it sounds like, and one of the things that I was just thinking, because I've known you just for a little bit since I've gotten into this line of work, you're a very outgoing and have a lot of energy. You seem like a real people person. And I was wondering how the whole data concept fit into that, but it makes sense that you traveling around, meeting with people, sharing the data, communicating it is a big part, not just collecting it and putting it in boxes.
That, and I have been a trivia buff my whole life. I spout useless knowledge constantly, you know, oh, that song was da-da-da-da-da, or so-and-so. And the data part of it just interests me. And so I dig deeper and, okay, I have this number and that's interesting. Where does it come from? And so that's the part of me that it comes from.
Gotcha. Where does your passion for youth substance abuse prevention work come from? Obviously, you're part of, you know, our little Net Casa family, the coalition in Northeast Texas. So where does your passion for that come from?
It's twofold. One, I was a middle school teacher for 17 years. I taught 8th grade. Well, I taught 6th grade 1 year and panicked and ran back to 8th grade. But I loved being a school teacher. I was English and theater and speech. And then I also have a lot of adopted children. Um, a lot of kids, and every single one of them ended up in my home because their parents had a drug or alcohol problem. They were contemplating themselves having a drug and alcohol problem, or they already did, or they didn't see a future because of their family history that did not have drug or alcohol in it, and they just didn't know what to do.
Wow.
We battle it at my house as far as behaviors and loving someone. We don't have to like what they do, but we can still love them, and that's a gift, especially for kids. And so I really like prevention because not only are we giving them a key to better health and life and decisions, but sometimes in schools or in communities, we get the opportunity to tell a kid that, you know, it's okay to love someone that has a drug or alcohol problem, but you don't have to choose that role, and you can continue to love them, but you don't have to be in that moment to have it.
Right. Man, that's a great perspective, and I really appreciate you sharing that. That's awesome. There's no question this pandemic has placed a heavy burden on all of East Texans. However, I believe that in certain difficult times like the one we're in now, they can serve as like a corrective tool to help us emerge better than we were before. I'm just wondering, I'm sure there are people in the office there. I'm sure there are lots of lives being affected where you stay by the coronavirus pandemic, the shelter in place orders. But do you see any kind of silver lining in this? Have you learned anything positive, anything you can look forward to in the future, perhaps in a way that we can come out better than before?
Always, because I'm kind of that person. Don't get me wrong, I can be negative. Sarcasm is my love language, but I think that we have to look for the silver linings. One of them is things like this and your coalition that can be on Facebook, because people are at home and they're doing more of Facebook and Netflix and Hulu because they can't go anywhere. So they're learning these things, and also their kids are home and they can say, hey, look at this, let's talk about it. Or they'll turn to their spouse or their partner and say, hey, we've never really talked about the kids and drugs or, these kind of things. Spending more time together, because sometimes we get busy and we don't know the habits of our children, and they'll come out and open up a lot of discussions. I know your coalition, and then I know Ed Cotta is on Facebook. We've set up things parents can do with their kids. There's lots of videos, lots of information. Sometimes people are just not informed. We see that with the COVID itself. Some people say there's this many that have it or died, and some say it's not really contagious. And so just looking for reliable sources like your coalition and Ed Cotta and all those that are here in East Texas that can help them with those resources. It's here. Come get it. Come join us. Be part of the coalition. Come part of the epidemiological groups that I do. I bring in people. The pastor that's in your coalition comes. I love Morris County. It's one of my favorites. And I did some work at Paul Pewitt and all those. And we talk about what's going on and how we can do that and reach kids and adults and communities and shift lives for the better. We don't change anything as humans until we are sad or angry. We have seatbelt laws if somebody didn't lose somebody in an accident. We wouldn't have civil rights unless somebody was persecuted and they got mad and angry. Texting and driving, same thing. A mother or father got sad and changed it. So I think we take those moments to be mad and sad, because always recognize your feelings, but then do something positive. Let's take a step forward. Let's move on. And that's what we have to do now, especially because there's a lot of people at home alone. There's a lot of people at home with their kids, and there's such a dark feeling. And I think we need to take a step out. And a big part of that is getting involved with your community. like coalitions like yours, and being a volunteer at Ed Cotto, or taking an interest in youth.
Yeah, what just for people who may be watching, that resource, that Ed Cotto resource, how would they find that or reach that?
Okay, we are at edcada.com. It's ETCADA.com. You can go straight there. I have it pulled up right now. If you or someone you know has a drug, alcohol, prescription drug, marijuana problem, youth to adult, pregnant, anything, you call in, and our OSARs are still constantly screening over the phone. We also get CPS referrals, but they will figure out with you whether you have insurance or not, what you need to do, in-house, outpatient, NA groups. We also have a recovery coaches, and they are amazing. If you are ready to change your life, for a year, they will work with you and walk you through everything, even if you have nothing. If you need housing, a job, they're just amazing individuals, and it's a great program. And then we have the PRC, which we do compliance checks, and I've been working on the RNA. It comes out July 31st. It'll have all the new data for anything you could have possibly imagine. It's about 250 pages, and so that's what we're doing. I mean, we're actively working.
Yeah, you're doing some great work there, and I appreciate you taking some time to let people know how they can connect with you. We're going to wrap this thing up here.
We thank you, and your coalition is great, doing some great work with all the prescription drug take back and working with the kids at all the schools in those counties, and it's just really great work. We appreciate it, and I love spreading the word.
Yeah, we have a similar goals, and I'm glad we can partner together. Let's end it with what's in the mug. So tell me, do you have a special mug there? What's your go-to morning drink?
My best friend since second grade called me Queen, okay? And she unfortunately, from a blood clot, died unexpectedly 8 years ago. And I went through that period of, I didn't want to hear the word. I took everything down that had crowns on it. And then I found this mug that says, "Once upon a time I was a queen, and I still am, so bow down." And I could hear that. So now I wear my lashes. I've got crown earrings. There's crowns all over my house. Miss America has less tiaras than I do because I'm a queen, and queens drink coffee.
Nice. Love it. I love your passion. I love it. I'm rolling with just a simple Amazon ceramic mug. I do think coffee tastes better in ceramic than like metal or glass. It's got a nice little rubber sleeve on it, so it kind of protects it in case you drop it. And my go-to, if I make it at home, which I did this morning, is just Starbucks, their blonde veranda blend or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's really, really good. And I like to drink it black, so that's what I'm rolling with this morning.
They cannot make a coffee dark enough for me at my. We drink it very dark at my house. So.
Yep. Well, Mindy, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Sure, thank you. I talk a lot. I would say sorry, but I'm not.
No, you did great. Blessings to you and your work, and we'll stay in touch.
You as well. Stay safe and stay well.